Now is it visible? Screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now in the last lecture we completed the chapter first, the introductory. Now we will have the overcurrent protection of the transmission line. Now in the overcurrent protection of the transmission line, as you are aware of the fact that the most obvious effect of shunt fault, that is, let us suppose that we have the shunt fault, and the most obvious effect of the shunt fault, as you have seen in the first lecture also, is the sudden buildup of the current. So sudden buildup of current is the effect of the shunt fault. So from this we can say, from the sudden buildup of current, we can say that it is natural that the magnitude of the current, that the magnitude of this particular current can be used as the indication of the existence of the fault. It can be used as the indication of existence of fault. So from this you can see that the most obvious effect of this this shunt fault is the this buildup of the current. So we can use the current as the indication of the existence of the fault. So for that we are using the overcurrent relay. It means that if the current is more than the predetermined, then that relay will trip. So it is the obvious choice for the this type of fault. So we are having the overcurrent relay for that very purpose. And this overcurrent relay, you can say that overcurrent relay is the most widely used relay. It is the most widely used relay. So this is the overcurrent relay. So, however, in certain cases, it is required that the direction of the current should also be taken into consideration. In some of the protection schemes, only the magnitude of the current is required. And when the magnitude of the current is required, so without taking any consideration of the phase angle, then this type of the relay in which only magnitude is required is known as the non-directional overcurrent relay. It is known as the non-directional overcurrent relay. So what the non-directional means, that it doesn't take into consideration the direction of the current. So it doesn't, whenever it sends the current, it doesn't take into consideration the phase angle of that particular current. So it doesn't take into consideration the phase angle of that current. So it is known as the overcurrent relay. Now, if you see, so it doesn't take into consideration the direction. Now, however, there are certain situations in which we have to discriminate between the fault. That is, let us suppose that we have a system and in which the relay is connected here. And let us suppose that this is another line. And let us suppose it is designed for that very, it is designed for that system. And let us suppose that the current, the fault is within that particular system. So here also we will have the fault current that's sensed by the relay, and here also we have the fault current sensed by the relay. So there are certain cases in which it is required to discriminate between the fault in front of the relay and behind the breaker. So this is possible only if we take into account the magnitude of the current as well as the that is magnitude of the current and the phase angle and the phase angle with respect to voltage at the relay location, with respect to voltage at relay location. So this type of relay, you can say that this is known as the directional overcurrent relay. It is known as the directional overcurrent relay. That is, this relay take into consideration the magnitude as well as the phase angle of the current. So it is known as the directional overcurrent relay. So now you will see, however, if you see that from this directional overcurrent relay and from this diagram, you can see that the directional overcurrent relay has the greater selectivity than the non-directional overcurrent relay. So it has the greater selectivity than non-directional relay. Greater selectivity means, what do you mean by greater selectivity? That it will be selective in discriminating this part as compared to this part. So it is selective in that it will see the fault, it will see the current, it will see the phase of the fault, and then it will give the trip command to the circuit. However, in this case, we must not forget that any type of protection is the first concept, and it needs to be implemented. And the vehicle of the implementation, you can say that it's a relay. So we can, if we imagine the non-directional overcurrent relay, it provides the protection that it only take into consideration the magnitude of the relay, which is different from the directional, which take into consideration the magnitude of the current as well as the this phase angle for its operation. Now, now we will discuss the protective device which is used from the edges and which we will find at our homes frequently. So that protective device that we are using is known as the fuse. Now we can discuss the fuse. It is the simplest protective device that is available with us. So fuse. So the first is that it is the oldest protective device. It is the oldest one, and we are still using it. And second one is that it is very simple. It has the simplicity. It is very simple. And what does the fuse do? It allows the normal current to flow through it. It allows the normal current to flow through it. However, if the current is more than the predetermined, that what it is used for, then it will melt the. It will melt. That is, we can say that it allows the normal current to flow through it, but melt itself out. It melts itself out and breaking the circuit when the current exceeds the certain magnitude for certain amount of time. That is, when the current is greater than the certain magnitude for a certain amount of time. So you can say that it combines the function of sensing, comparing, and interrupting. It has the function of sensing, comparing, and interrupting. So it senses the current, compare the current, whether it is predetermined current, that is whether the which for which it is designed, it is that current is flowing or not. If it is not flowing, then it melts, that is it interrupts. So all the three things are included in that. So it acts as a sensing, comparing, and interrupting device. Now we will have a diagram of HRC, high rupturing capacity fuse. HRC fuse, that is the high rupturing capacity fuse. So this is the external appearance of the HRC fuse, and we will have the characteristics, that is the time and the current characteristics of the fuse. Now, from the time and current characteristics of the fuse, you will see that as the current increases, from this axis you will see that as the current increases, the fusing time will be reduced. So as the current increases, the fusing time will be reduced. This is due to the fact that more be the current and more be the heat in that. So it will melt more in a less amount of time. Now, this is the short circuit current which is interrupted by the fuse. Now let us suppose that in this case it is actually a current time characteristics again. We will have the current. In this case, the current is flowing like that. It is the normal current, that is whatever the load current. Now let us suppose that fault occurs in the system and current starts increasing. So it will see that at this particular point it will interrupt, that at the instant of, this is the instant of interruption, and you will see it will interrupt, and this is the prospective peak if it is not interrupted. So this current is very much large as compared to this and may damage the equipment. So this is the how the fuse works. It acts as a sensing, comparing, and the interrupting device. It sense the current, compare it, and interrupt it, and greater be the current, greater be the this heat, and as a result it melts easily. Now this is the simplest example of this device that you are using. Now we will have one more device, which is one more relay, which is known as the thermal relay. So we will discuss about this thermal relay. So anyone can tell me that what is the thermal relay? Anyone has heard about that thermal relay? So we will have the thermal relays. So the main principle of this thermal relay is that we have the two metals, that is we have the bimetallic strip, that is the two metals are there in that. We have a bimetallic strip, and in this, whatever the current, let us suppose that we have the load current and the wire is wound along around that bimetallic strip in which the current is flowing. Now bimetallic means that you have the two metals. Now in this case we have the two metals. This metal, second one, it has the high coefficient of linear expansion as compared to metal 1. It means that whenever the heat is produced, it will bend more as compared to this 2 will bend more as compared to 1. So what happens? So whenever the current flows, and if the current is more than the predetermined, then the heat will be generated. And when the heat will be generated, then since the second one has the high coefficient of this thermal expansion, so what happens? The second one will bend more as compared to the first, and we have some trip contact here. This trip contact, let us suppose that we have here, we have the trip contact like that, and then it is connected to the, that is trip contact of the circuit, relay circuit, and then it bends. So as a result, that because of this heat produced, it will, the trip contact is produced. So this is the main principle. So it actually works on the principle of the strain generated due to the unequal linear expansion. Strain generated due to unequal linear expansion. And this, since we have the two different metals, so we have the two different strains are generated as a result of heat produced because of the current which is flowing through it. So it works in that principle. Now we will have a small diagram that we can discuss on that also. So we have the two metals. This is the coil. This is the metal of high coefficient of expansion, and this is the low. These are actually the trip contacts, and when the current flows through it, the heat is produced, and this metal is expanded more, and as a result, the contacts are tripped out. So we will have the two strips, AB and the CD, and both the strips gets heated up by the same amount. However, they get deformed by the different amount. They get deformed by the different amount, and that is the material. This one has the higher coefficient of expansion, and it is on the outer side of the curve, while with the lower coefficient is on the inner side of the curve. Now, since you can say that the heating effect is proportional to the square of the current, heating effect is proportional to the square of the current, and energy dissipated is given by I square or T in that very case, and T is actually the time for which the current flows through the relay. So now what is the application of this type of relay? Anyone can tell me that what's the application of this type of relay? Anyone? So the main application of this relay, since we can say that we have the accumulation of sufficient amount of heat, it depends upon this thermal inertia of this relay, which tends to be large if we have these relays are used for a very quick operation. However, since it takes some amount of time to bend, because the thermal inertia of these two is not so large, so it takes some time to bend. So generally, we are using it to provide the protection in the system in which the quick operation is not required. We are using it in which the quick operation is not required. Because it has some thermal inertia and it will take some time to bend. So the one of the application in which it is commonly used is to provide the protection against the prolonged overloading of motors. So it can be used for the prolonged overloading of motors. It means that what this relay will do, it will let the motors supply the overload for a small amount of time. It will supply the overload for a small amount of time. It will supply the overload for a small amount of time and before tripping off. After that, it will trip. So that the advantage of this thermal inertia of the system is used for that protection of the motor, because we want that, okay, if we are overloading the motor for small amount of time, then it's okay. Now, this is all about the we will have the thermal relay. Now, the other relay which is commonly used for the protection system is the overcurrent relay. Now, we will discuss the overcurrent. So first we will draw the block diagram of the overcurrent relay. We will have the input current here. Then we will have the time setting here. Then we will have plug setting or the pickup value. Plug setting is also known as the pickup. And we have the normally open, trip output circuit. This is going to trip output. So this is the block diagram of the overcurrent relay. Now, please move your mic. Vishal, mute your mic. Now, it has the single input. This overcurrent relay has the single input in the form of the current, in the form of the AC current. It has the single input in the form of the AC current, and the output of the relay is normally open contact. It is normally open contact. So it has the single input in the form of the AC current, and the output is normally open contact. And this normally open contact, it changes to the closed state when the relay trips. So this, when the relay trips, it changes to the closed state. changes to the closed state when relay trips. Now, there are two settings in that. One is the time setting, and second one is the plug setting. Now, the time setting actually decides the operating time of the relay. It decides the operating time of the relay, and this plug setting decides the current required for the relay to pick up. Current required for the relay to pick up. So it will have the time setting, it will have the plug setting. Time setting, it decides the operating time of the relay, and the plug setting, it gives the current required for the relay to pick up. Now, the name plug setting, where this name plug setting came from, it is actually it comes from the electromechanical overcurrent relay. So plug setting comes from this name comes from the electromechanical overcurrent relay. Now, in electromechanical overcurrent relay, which we were using, now also we are using, but now we are using the microprocessor based relays. However, initially the electromechanical overcurrent relays were used, and in those days, we have to insert a short plug. Let us suppose that we will insert a small plug here. So we have to insert a plug in plug setting bridge. We have to insert a plug in plug setting bridge to change the number of turns to change the number of turns of operating coil to get a particular current pickup value. To get a particular current pickup value. So depending upon the whatever current is required, the plug is inserted for the number of turns in that. So that's why the name is used. Same name is used nowadays only. So this is about the plug setting in that. Now this is the block diagram that we have discussed. Now one terminology is used in the block diagram, that is a plug setting multiplier. So plug setting multiplier. So we have the plug setting multiplier. So it is also denoted by PSM. and the plug setting multiplier is equals to, or it is defined as the current across the relay divided by the plug setting of that particular relay. So this is the plug setting multiplier. So in this case, I relay is actually the current through the relay operating coil. It is the current through the relay operating coil, and PS is actually the plug setting of the relay. And now this, what is the significance of this PSM? It actually tells us about the severity of the current seen by the relay. It gives the severity of the current seen by the relay. It means that we have set a plug setting of the relay, that is current of that particular relay, and then this is the current which is seen by the relay. So it means that it compares the both, and then we have this plug setting multiplier. So if the value of the plug setting multiplier is greater than 1, if PSM is greater than 1, it means that if it is less than 1, sorry, if PSM is less than 1, then if PSM is less than 1, then this operation is known as the normal operation, and normal load is flowing. And if PSM is greater than 1, then in that very case, the relay is supposed to pick up. It means that relay will operate. That is, the relay is supposed to pick up. So higher with the value of the PSM, the serious will be the fault. So it means that I relay divided by the plug setting of the relay, plug setting, whatever setting we have given for a particular current. And if the setting, if let us suppose that whatever the current is seen by the relay is greater than this, and let's suppose that current seen by the relay is greater than the plug setting, what is desired. So in that very case, the PSM is greater than 1, and as a result, it is a faulty condition. So it tells us about the severity of the fault. Now, let us take a small example. Let us take a small example. Let us suppose that in a system, in a scenario, we have, let us consider a 1 ampere relay. We have the relay of 1 ampere. That is, the relay coil is actually designed for that, carry 1 ampere on continuous basis. And let us suppose that we have a plug has been set at 0.5 ampere. It means that plug has been set at 0.5 ampere. That is the 50%. And for a certain fault current, the relay, let us suppose that relay current is 5 ampere. That is for a certain fault. The current that is flowing is 5 ampere. Now, as per the definition of PSM, PSM is given by which is equals to the current, that is current seen by the relay, 5 ampere divided by the plug setting 0.5. So we are getting the 10. So we can say that the relay is operating at the plug setting of PSM of 10. Now this is a small example. Now this is about the overcurrent relay. Now there are different types of overcurrent relays. The first one we will discuss the instantaneous overcurrent relay. First one we will discuss about the instantaneous overcurrent relay. So we will have the first one that we will have is the instantaneous overcurrent relay. OC is the overcurrent. So this is the instantaneous overcurrent relay. So as the name suggests, this instantaneous overcurrent relay, as the name suggests, it means that this relay has no intentional time delay. It has no intentional time delay. So one thing is that however fast the overcurrent relay would be, it needs certain minimum time to operate. So it means that operating time of this is only milliseconds. So operating time of this type of relay is the milliseconds. And this type of relay, similar to that of that we have discussed in this case, we initially we will have this current. In the previous case, this is the current, this is the time setting, this is the plug setting, and these are actually the these contacts to the trip circuit, normally open contacts. However, since it is instantaneous overcurrent relay, then you can say that it has only the pickup value, that is whatever the value the current will pick up, and as the name suggests, instantaneous overcurrent relay, so no time setting is there in that. So this type of relay, it doesn't have the time setting as the name suggests. So this is known as the instantaneous overcurrent relay. Now let us take into consideration that how this relay, what are the characteristics of this particular relay. So these are actually the time current characteristics of this type of relay. Now this relay is similar to this overcurrent relay. However, no time setting is there in that. So in this case, as you have seen, it can be realized with the help of this. We have the core, and then the wire is wound up around that core. And whenever the current increases within the core, the flux will increase. So whenever the current increases within that particular core, the flux increases, and when the flux increases, it causes the force on the armature to build up. So it causes the force on armature to build up. So because of that particular force, this trip contacts will be closed. So we can say that the armature of that relay get attracted towards the coil, and as a result, the air gap become smaller. So in this case, the force actually depends upon the flux density, that is the current, and the flux density in turn depends upon the current in that very case. It is the relation, it is the between the square of the current, the force and the current relationship between these is square relationship. And in this case, we have the, since these are the relays, so in this case, the operating torque of that particular relay is proportional to the square of the current. So these are how it operates, and this is the relationship between the operating time and the current. Now in this case, you will see that here we have the particular pickup value, and time setting is not, we cannot set the time in that particular case. So here we have the, at a particular value of the current, that is, this is the pickup value that we have set. This is pickup value, means the value of the current that is set for that, and that a particular pickup value it will operate. So this is the time current characteristics of this instantaneous overcurrent relay. Now there are different variants of this instantaneous overcurrent relay. So one variant of this instantaneous overcurrent relay is the definite time overcurrent relay. So what means in the definite time overcurrent relay? Now in the instantaneous overcurrent relay that we have discussed, we have the, here we have the current, here we have the time setting, and here we have the flux setting. In case of instantaneous overcurrent relay, we don't have the time setting. However, in other type of relay, which is known as the definite time overcurrent relay, the time setting is provided. So we have here the time setting, then here the current, relay current, and this is plug setting. So second type of relay, this relay was the instantaneous overcurrent relay. This was the characteristics of now. The second one is the this definite time overcurrent relay. In the definite time, we will have here the, we will set the operating time also. That is, we can have one setting for the operating time also. So here we have the characteristics of that. In this, we have the plug setting. Plug setting means the current value at which it will pick up. And here we have the time setting. That is, we can fix the time setting also. So this type of relay is known as the definite time overcurrent relay. So it is known as the definite time overcurrent relay. So it is the definite time overcurrent relay. It is very normally used for many applications. So DTOC, it is also known as DTOC, definite time over current relay. It means that this relay can be adjusted to issue the trip output at a definite amount of time, and it picks up at a definite amount of time. So it has time setting as well as the plug setting adjustment. Now, after that, we will have the inverse time overcurrent relay. Inverse time overcurrent relay. After the definite time, we will have the inverse time over current relay. So this is the inverse time over current relay. So inverse time characteristics fits very well in the in this type of relay, in which more severe will be the fault current. If we have more severe be the fault current and faster it would be cleared, means that time would be reduced. So that's the name. That's how the name inverse time over current relays, and that is the there is the relationship between the inverse relationship between the fault current and the time. So there is the inverse relationship between the fault current and the time. Greater be the fault current, lesser be the time. So it fits in that type of applications that we more be the severity of the fault, less time required for the clearing that. However, this type of application, this type of characteristics is found mainly in the electromechanical type of relays. In it is mainly found in the electromechanical type of. It is generally found in the electromechanical type of relays. And which is widely used for many applications. However, now we are having the microprocessor based relays. Recently, we have the microprocessor based relays. We are now using the microprocessor based relays. And these microprocessor based relays, it can be any type of time current characteristics can be obtained in that. Any type of time current characteristics can be obtained in that this microprocessor based relays. So nowadays we are using this microprocessor based relays. Sorry for the interruption. So with the invent of the microprocessor, we can have this. We can realize any type of time current characteristics, and as a result, this can be any kind of relay can be obtained out of that. So this is about the inverse time over current relay. Now, next one is the inverse definite minimum time over current relay. Next one is the inverse definite minimum time over current relay.
कितना
4,000. So next is
4,000 नहीं उसको चेंज किया था हमने, देखे थे उस वाले में 4 ही था एक्चुअली।
So the next type of relay is the inverse definite minimum time over current relay. Inverse definite minimum time over current relay. So this is also known as the IDMT relay. DTOC, that is definite time over current relay, and IDMT relays, these are mainly used for many applications. Now this is the IDMT relay. This means, as the name suggests, inverse definite minimum time. As the name suggests, in this case, in this type of relay, it is actually inverse in the initial part. It is inverse in the initial part and becomes definite minimum. That is, it has the definite minimum operating time as the current becomes high. Definite minimum operating time as the value of the current is high. So does the name inverse definite minimum time. That is inverse in the initial part and definite minimum as the current becomes very high. Now, why we'll have this inverse definite minimum time over current relay? So, because if you see, in case of electromechanical relays, in case of electromechanical relays, if we have a very high value of the current, if the current is very much high, then in that very case, if the current is very much high, then in that very case, the flux will be high, and as a result, the it it will saturate. The flux will be very high, that it is in the saturation portion, so it will saturate. And as a result, if you take the case of the torque in this case is it is not very much increased. That is, operating torque in this case is proportional, since it is proportional to the square of the flux, and it is proportional to the square of the flux, and as a result it does not increase substantially after the saturation. It does not increase substantially after the saturation sets in. So it means that for the higher value of the flux, this will core will saturate, and as a result, the operating torque would not be increased much in that. So that's why the property of this electromechanical relays, it can be used in this inverse definite minimum time over current relay, that after a certain amount of time, that is after the current is very high, then in that very case it will the core will saturate, and as a result the torque will not increase in that very case. So this limitation of the electromechanical relay can be used as an advantage. That's why we have the inverse definite minimum time over current relay. So the mathematical relation between the current, the mathematical relation for this between the this operating time and the between the current and the operating time of this relay is given by 0.14 into TMS time setting multiplier and divided by plug setting multiplier into raised to power 0.02 minus 1. So this is the relationship, empirical relationship between the this IDMT relay between the operating time and the current. So in this case, we will have the PSM is the plug setting multiplier, and TMS is the time multiplier setting of the relay. So you can see that the operating time in this relay is directly proportional to TMS, and it is inversely proportional to PSM. Now, this is the inverse definite minimum time over current relay. Now, one more relay is the very inverse time over current relay. So, from the inverse time over current relay, that is IDMT, we will have one more relay, which is known as the second relay, which is known as the very inverse time over current relay. So it is very inverse time over current relay. So if we have read about the IDMT relay, so inverseness of this relay is greater than the IDMT relay characteristics. Inverseness is greater than IDMT relay. It means that it has the more inverse characteristics in case of IDMT relay, and the operating time of this relay is given by 13.5 into TMS divided by PSM minus 1. So this is very inverse time over current relay. Now, from this very inverse time over current relay, we will have the one more relay, which is known as the extremely inverse time over current relay. Extremely inverse time over current relay. And you can say that the inverseness of this relay is higher than the very inverse time over current relay. So its inverseness, it is more inverse, is higher than this very inverse time over current relay. And the operating time in this case is given by AT into TMS divided by PS M square minus 1. So operating time of this relay is given by this. So we have the this very inverse time over current relay and the extremely inverse time over current relay. Now the time current characteristics of this relay, we can have a graph of time current characteristics of these three types of relays. So this is the, in the y-axis we will have the operating time, and in the x-axis we have the plug setting multiplier. So we will have the plug setting multiplier. In this case, we will have this is IDMT relay. First one is the IDMT relay. Now we have the very inverse time over current relay, and then we have the characteristics of the extremely inverse over current relay. So this is the time current characteristics of these different types of relays. Now, in this lecture, you have read about the various types of relays. That is, we discussed about the first one, that we discussed about the thermal relays, in the thermal relays, we have the bimetallic strip, and then it works on the strain generated due to the heat produced. Then after that, we have the overcurrent relays. In thermal relays, we have the bimetallic strip, and the strain is generated because of the unequal expansion of that particular relay. Now the second was the overcurrent relay. In the overcurrent relay, we will have we studied about the block diagram of that. That is, we have the current here. Then we have the time setting. We will have the plug setting, the value at which it will pick up. And then we have the trip contacts, which are normally open contacts. Now, then we discussed the instantaneous overcurrent relay. Now, in this case, in the instantaneous overcurrent relay, we don't have the time setting. That is, it is very instant. So time setting is not there in case of instantaneous overcurrent relay. Now, next relay that we studied is the definite time overcurrent relay, DTOC. Definite time over current relay. That is which is also known as DTOC. So in the definite time over current relay, we have the time setting is there, and then flux setting is also there. Now, fifth relay that we discussed is the inverse time over current relay. It was the inverse time over current relay. That is, in this case, we have studied that more severe the current, the time would be reduced. That is, it has the inverse relationship. The relationship between the current and the time is inverse in that very case. Now, under the inverse time over current relay, we discussed the IDMT. Under this, we have the inverse definite minimum time. We will have inverse definite minimum time over current relay. And in case of electromechanical system, it may be realized that after a certain amount of time, the flux will saturate, and as a result, the operating time would not be long in that very case. So inverse definite minimum time over current relay. Then in that case, this is also known as the IDMT relay. These are mainly used definite time and IDMT relay. These relays can be realized by using the microprocessor. Now, next is the very inverse time over current relay. Very inverse time over current relay. And then we will have extremely inverse time over current relay. So these are different types of relays that we have studied. First, we studied about the this thermal relay. Then we have the overcurrent relays, then instantaneous overcurrent relays, definite time overcurrent relay, inverse time overcurrent relay, and under the inverse time overcurrent relay, we will have the inverse definite minimum time overcurrent relay, and very inverse time overcurrent relay, and extremely inverse time overcurrent relay. Now this is all about the relays.